Okay girls, Friday's homework was page 187, numbers 1, 2 and 3. Okay, so numbers 1 was graph this function f of x equals 3x minus 1. So straight away you look at that and say, well, there's no x squared term, the highest power of x is x, so that means it's a line, so you're going to be graphing a line. Okay, so between minus 2 and 3, so that means you have to get f of minus 2, f of minus 1, f of 0, f of 1, f of 2, f of 3. So if you want to do it out by hand, this is how you do it by hand. Minus 1, 3 times 1, minus 1, 3 times 2, minus 1, and 3 times 3, minus 1. So working out all of these, that's minus 1, that would be 2, that would be 5, and that would be 8. So your points are minus 2, minus 7, minus 1, minus 4, 0, minus 1, 1, 2, 2, 5, and 3, 8. Okay, so or you could do it in your calculator. Okay, so calculator, you press mode number 3. Okay, you type in 3x minus 1, so 3 alpha in the close bracket gets you the x, and then you have a minus 1 equals this enter, start at minus 2, so start is minus 2, finish at minus 3. Sorry, I'm after doing something wrong there now. We'll cancel that off again, and I'm just going to start again. 3 alpha x minus 1, enter. Oh yeah, don't mind that. Start is minus 2, end is 3, and it's always step 1, so just enter that, and all your points will come up in your calculator. Okay, use the down arrow to get the ones that are at the bottom of the list. Okay, right, so then we're graphing. Okay, so we're graphing minus 2 minus 7, so minus 2 minus 7 is here. Then we have minus 1 minus 4 is here. We have 0 minus 1 across 0 down to minus 1. We have 1 2 across 1 up to 2. We have 2 5, and we have 3 8. Okay, so then they make a straight line. So get your ruler. When it's a straight line, make sure you use a ruler to draw it. Okay, so there's your line. Okay, and then when you've that done, they asked you a couple of questions. The first question was, find f of 1.5, or is it minus 1.5? Which is it? Sorry, f of minus 1.5. So it's in the bracket, so that means that it's normally f of x. So basically, instead of x, they've written 1.5. So, or sorry, minus 1.5. So they're telling you x is minus 1.5. That means they're asking you for y. So you go to the x-axis, you go to minus 1.5 on the x-axis, which is here. You draw a line down till you hit the graph. Draw a line across and read off that number. So I'm looking at about minus 5. We'll round it up, minus 5. Okay? Right, but whatever your graph says is the right answer. Then part 2, the second question is telling me y. So if they're telling me what y is, they're asking me what x is. So they're telling me y is 3.5. So you go to the y-axis. You go to 3.5 on the y-axis, which is out here. You draw a line across to hit the graph. You draw a line down and you read off the number. So I'm looking at 1.7. Okay, but again, it's whatever your graph says is the right answer. Okay, then I asked you to do number 2. So number 2 is a cubic equation, right? Just so you know, cubic equation, positive x cubed term, that means it finishes on a high, so that means it's going to look something like that. Okay, so you have to graph it between minus 2 to minus 3.5, because they've given you the answer to 3.5, so we're just going to do minus 2 up to 3. Okay, so you're getting f of minus 2, so that means everywhere is the x, put in a minus 2, minus 5 times minus 2 plus 4, right, and into the calculator with that, and it'll come out as minus 2. I'm not filling all these out now, but that's minus 1 to be cubed, minus 2 times minus 1 to be squared, minus 5 times minus 1 plus 4, into the calculator, press equals, and you'll get out 6. Okay, right, or, right, you could just put it into the calculator. So you press mode 3, then you go alpha, close bracket for the x, then you have cubed, minus 2 alpha, close bracket for the x, and a squared, then you have minus 5 alpha and the close bracket for the x, and then you have plus 4 equals, right? Then your start is minus 2, and your end is 3. As I say, ignore the 3.5 because they actually gave you the answer anyway. So the end is 3, and it's always step 1, and it'll give you up your points there. So there's all the points written out there. Okay, so, and it's good to know what you want to end up with, because you want to end up with something like that. That's always good to know before you start. Okay, so graphing then, we have minus 2, across to minus 2, down to minus 2. Across to minus 1, up to 6. Across 0, up to 4. Across 1, down to minus 2. Across 2, down to minus 6. Across 3, across 3 to minus 2. And then I have 3.5 is 4.9. Okay? Right, and you're just estimating that, right, as best you can. Okay, so then graphing, so up we go, turn around, all the way down, and back up again. So there's my graph. Okay, then there's questions on it. So the first question they ask you for are the roots, right? Okay, so the roots, girls, are where it crosses the x-axis. So there's 3 points there, there, and there. So I'm saying minus 1.9, I'm saying 0.5, and I'm saying 3.1. Now, right, that question is going to be asked, the roots, or where does it cross the x-axis, or where does the f of x equals 0, right? Part 2, you can ignore it. It's too hard, we'll deal with that later, right? Then part 3, minimum turning point. So the turning point is where it turns to go back up, right? Okay, minimum means it's the lowest down one. Turning point, so they say 2 minus 6, right? Then part 4, they ask me where's the graph negative and decreasing. So negative, girls, means it's below this line. So it's down here somewhere. And decreasing means when you're drawing it, the pen is moving down. So here it's increasing, here, from here to here it's decreasing, and then it turns and it goes up, so then it's increasing. So we're talking about between here and here. So you just get the x values. So it's between this point and this point. So it's between 0.5 and 2. Okay? Don't get too hung up on that type of question. I'm more interested in the roots, the minimum turning point, and the next 2 questions. Okay? The next question tells me y equals 4. So if they're telling me what y is, they want me to get x. Now there could be more than one x, right? Okay? So we go to the y-axis, we go to 4 on the y-axis. So there we go. And we draw a line, and it's hitting it 3 times. So it's hitting it here, here, and here. So you draw a line down so you can read off that number. So it's about minus 1.6. So I'm saying minus 1.6. Here is 0. And here is about, and you can clearly see my graph is very wavy. Here about 3.6, I'd say. Right, okay. But again, it's whatever your graph says. Okay? And the last question, right, which I want you to take note of, is f of x. We normally have f of x, so instead of x, they're putting in a 1.5. So they're telling me x is equal to 1.5. So if they tell me x, they're asking me to find y. So you go to the x-axis, you go to 1.5 on the x-axis. Right, you go up or down to hit the graph. So in this case it'll be down. Hit the graph, go across and read off the number. So on my graph it says minus 3.8. But again, whatever your graph says is the right answer. Okay, and then finally I asked you to do number 3, which is the graph is drawn for you. Okay, so on the right hand side, wait, now I magnify it a small bit. So here's my graph. Okay, so on the right hand side is a function x squared minus 4x. So we can clearly see it's positive x squared, so that means it's a happy phase, right? Write down f of 3.5. So 3.5 is inside in the bracket, right? So instead of x is 3.5. So you go to the x-axis, go to 3.5, draw a line up or down to hit the graph, down in this case, draw a line across and read off the number. So I'm looking at about minus 2.1. Okay, the values for which f of x is minus 3. F of x equals minus 3, that's another way of saying y equals minus 3. So they're telling me the y, so you go to the y-axis, you go to minus 3 on the y-axis, draw a line across it, hits it twice. Okay, so you want to give those two answers. Where it hits it here, the answer is 1, and where it hits it here, the answer is 3. Okay, so two answers there. X is 1, x is 3. The minimum value, you just give the y value. Okay, if it said minimum point, you give the coordinates of this. The minimum value means you just give the y value. So we're looking at minus 4. And don't mind the axis of symmetry because we haven't done that yet. Okay, right, so that's the end of last night's homework.